When you picture World War II, you probably see tanks, planes and soldiers charging into battle. But the real danger wasn't always bullets or bombs. For many, the deadliest enemy was invisible germs. Battlefields were filthy, mud, blood and debris everywhere. When shrapnel tore into flesh, it dragged all that filth deep into wounds. That's when infection set in. The worst of all? Gangrene. Gangrene is when your tissue starts to rot while you're still alive, thanks to a nasty bacterium called Clostridium perfringens. It thrives in deep, dirty wounds, releasing toxins that kill cells and turn flesh black. The smell was horrific. In the early war years, gangrene meant one thing: amputation. Even then, survival wasn't guaranteed. So, the real race wasn't just for better weapons, but for something to stop infection before it started. Medics needed a miracle, something they could use right there in the mud to kill germs fast. For a while, they thought they had it in a familiar brown bottle. But that old favourite wasn't quite the answer. The search for a true lifesaver was just beginning. For years, iodine was the go-to antiseptic. You might remember its sting and brown stain from childhood scrapes. Medics swore by it, believing it would kill any germ in a wound. But iodine was a blunt instrument. It killed bacteria, but also destroyed healthy tissue trying to heal. This left more dead tissue, exactly what gangrene bacteria love. So, in trying to help, medics sometimes made things worse. Iodine created a perfect breeding ground for infection deep inside wounds. Plus, it was unstable, lost potency, and hurt like hell. Soldiers dreaded it, and it wasn't practical for the chaos of war. What was needed was something precise, something that targeted germs without wrecking the body's own defences. The hunt was on for a smarter, safer solution. Medics needed a weapon that could be used anywhere, any time. The answer would come from an unexpected place. The next champion in the fight against infection was waiting in the wings, and it wasn't what anyone expected. You've heard of penicillin, Alexander Fleming's mouldy miracle. Discovered in 1928, it was the dawn of the antibiotic age. Penicillin could kill bacteria inside the body without harming the patient. But when World War II began, penicillin was still a lab curiosity. It was hard to make, expensive, and in very short supply. Only the most desperate cases got it. The army needed something cheap, easy to make, and ready for the front lines. Penicillin was the future, but the present needed a workhorse. So, while history remembers penicillin as the hero, another solution quietly saved lives in the early years. It was a chemical concoction from the previous war, waiting for its moment. And that moment had arrived. Enter Henry Drysdale Dakin, a British chemist from World War I. He faced the same gangrene nightmare in the trenches. Dakin tested hundreds of substances, searching for something that killed germs but spared healthy tissue. His answer: a carefully balanced solution of sodium hypochlorite, essentially diluted bleach buffered with boric acid. This mix was strong enough to kill bacteria and dissolve dead tissue, but gentle on living cells. Dakin's solution was cheap, easy to make, and effective. When World War II erupted, medics remembered it. While penicillin was scarce, Dakin's solution became the standard wound cleaner. It was the unsung hero, quietly saving lives and limbs on the front lines. Not glamorous, but it worked. It was the first line of defence against gangrene, and it was everywhere soldiers fought. What made Dakin's solution special? It didn't just kill germs, it dissolved dead tissue, starving bacteria of their food. Unlike iodine, it spared healthy cells, letting wounds heal. The application was clever too. French surgeon Alexis Carrel developed a method: rubber tubes stitched into wounds, flushed regularly with Dakin's solution. This constant irrigation kept bacteria at bay and prevented gangrene. The Carrel-Dakin method turned wound care into a continuous healing process. Even the worst wounds could be saved. It was simple, systematic, and effective. Chemistry at its best, saving lives one drip at a time. Picture a young soldier wounded in Normandy. The medic's first move? Flush the wound with Dakin's solution. It stung, but not like iodine. In the field hospital, surgeons cleaned the wound, inserted tubes, and started the Carrel-Dakin method. For days, the solution worked silently, fighting infection. Before Dakin's solution, deep wounds often meant amputation or death. Now there was hope. Soldiers saw fewer amputations, more recoveries. Saving a limb meant saving a life, and morale. The army kept more men fighting or sent them home whole. Dakin's solution was a quiet hero, preserving manpower and hope. It wasn't glamorous, but it was vital. It changed the odds for thousands of wounded men, and it did it without fanfare. War breeds strange innovations. Maggots, for example, were used to clean wounds. They ate only dead tissue, leaving healthy flesh untouched. Disgusting, but effective. Blood plasma was another breakthrough. It could be dried, stored, and reconstituted on the battlefield, saving lives regardless of blood type. Dr. Charles Drew perfected this, even as he fought segregation in blood supplies. Even sanitary pads found a new use as wound dressings, sterile, absorbent, and plentiful. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the best. Drugs played a role too. Amphetamines kept soldiers alert, while morphine in single-use tubes eased pain instantly. These innovations, big and small, made survival possible. Necessity drove creativity on the battlefield, and sometimes the weirdest ideas worked wonders. If Dakin's solution was so effective, why don't we use it today? The answer: penicillin. By 1944, penicillin was mass-produced and changed everything. It could be injected, fighting infection from the inside out. Dakin's solution was only topical and required constant care. Penicillin was faster, easier, and more efficient for overwhelmed hospitals. The Carrel-Dakin method was labour-intensive. Penicillin was a quick shot. In wartime, efficiency wins. As antibiotics took over, Dakin's solution faded into history. It became a relic, a bridge between old and new medicine. But its role was vital in the war's darkest days, and it deserves to be remembered. History remembers the loudest heroes: tanks, planes, penicillin. But quiet innovations like Dakin's solution saved countless lives. It wasn't perfect or glamorous, but it was the right tool at the right time. It stood in the gap when nothing else could. Tens of thousands of soldiers went home whole because of it. Dakin's solution hasn't vanished. It's still used for tough wounds today. Sometimes simple chemistry beats high-tech solutions. Progress isn't always about big leaps. Sometimes it's about steady, reliable answers. So next time you think of wartime medicine, remember Dakin's solution. It was the workhorse, the unsung hero. It did the dirty work, and it did it brilliantly. Quiet genius can change the world. And that's a story worth telling.